Check, check, check. We're here for you with professional grade industrial supplies and fast delivery. Call clickgranger.com or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Check, 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 check. All right, I think we're okay. I think we're okay. Get this going, huh? That's here's the not even bro. All right, everybody. I'm gonna do my best to make sure that we all have a good time here. Try and make sure that everybody understands why we are where we are. What you'll notice right now is that there's no purple on there, unlike the state rep trust chart. Well, that's because these senators are probably some of the worst people ever. Oh, by the way, before we get started, Rip, Ohio. Where's this? Rip, Ohio, south of the endorsed Vivek Ramaswamy. Remember back in December, this was the same guy saying that we need to import a bunch of these third worlders because Americans are lazy. And this is not just an Ohio GOP thing either. This is also an Indiana GOP thing. I do not trust a single senator. There's like one senator, and we'll talk about it, but like there's basically all the legislators are crap. There are a few outliers, of course, if you watched last week's trust chart, but overall, like these legislators are the worst. They will sell you off as long as they can win re-election. So let's just get into it. All right, so who is the first one on the list right now? Well, that would be Democrats. There's not a single Democrat in the legislature, in the IGA at all, that I would ever trust, that I could have a normal conversation with without them bringing up something with DEI or abortion or weed. These people have no moral compass overall. And I think if you notice too here, when I have this arrow, we're going to have it in multiple sections, and this is worst to last or worst to best. All right, next one is going to be Travis Holdman. This guy might be the worst of them all. This was a really hard tier to actually figure out because I had to figure out overall who was going to be the worst of them all. And I think we finally decided on Travis Holdman. This guy yelled at some Bartholomew county assessor, I think. And we were going back on 1497 or 1427. He basically told this woman, you need to stay in your lane. You're not a policy person. There's him and Chris Garton. Sounds like you need to stay in your lane. You are an administration. You need to worry about your office. Policy is not what elected officials should be doing, which is kind of crazy to me. Yeah, worst to last. Yeah. D2 Indy in the house. Let's go. All right, next one is Alting. This guy just screams nightmare fuel. When I go to bed at night, when I lay my head on at night, I hope that he's not in the closet. This guy tends to vote with Democrats a lot too. This is our Edward Clear as a senator, though. And with that, everybody is like comparable to somebody in the state in the House of Representatives. We have our Ed Soliday, and we have our Eric Cook. Would be the next one. This guy was all he has some. I think his law firm merged with somebody else. This is the guy who's leading the way for all these SMRs, for all these energy projects. It's really much. It's crap. It's pure crap. Next one is going to be Kyle Walker. Ask him where the bodies are. That's all I'm going to ask you. If any of you ever talk to him, ask him where the bodies are. We have heard, actually, we know of some of the things that he has done. Bad enough, by the way, where we can't even talk about it on air. Like 100% confirmation, too. We know. This was the guy that was putting in the John Schmitz amendment, where if you were to, if say like Jack Sandlin or somebody died, or Walorski, oh, I forgot what her name is, Jackie Walorski, where you die, or you say, you know what, I don't want to be in office anymore. You could, and there's not enough. You want to bring in more precinct committee men or women. You would have been allowed to pick people and appoint them that aren't even in the district. This is what I call the John Schmitz rule, is because back when he was running for county chair, they appointed 300 people in Marion County, a bunch of lobbyists, the establishment swamp, and they made sure that Natalie Goodwin won. And by the way, she's doing a terrible job. Speaking of doing a terrible job, pick Ryan Mishler. This guy was, I think he was leading the Appropriations Committee, if I remember right. This was basically the money guy, and he looks like a banker. Oh, speaking of Holdman too, he's a banker, and he was making sure that Dan Elliott has to ask for permission to do investment. There's a bill that passed. Ryan Mishler was the money guy. You know, overall, like, he spoke really well on what was going on. But here is he actually brought up how millionaires get on Medicaid. And he was talking to Lonnie Randolph about it. Obviously a giant worm, but at least he was trying to explain some of this stuff. Speaking of worm and devilish, Sue Glick. We're actually going to put Glick and James Buck in there. These were the two that were trying to limit Micah Beckwith's power. And then their bills went nowhere, which was really good. Rod Bray, another establishment guy, the pro tem. Well spoken, of course, has been in there for a little bit. And everybody out there right now, I want to make sure that you all understand. You are never going to beat these people unless you have somebody in there that's willing to get in their face, not literally, but actually. These people were in for 4 years, don't forget. So you have to have 2 years of running for office, or you even have a chance. Like Alting. Alting right now, actually, let me tell you real quick. Ron Alting has an election next year. There is a guy right now, Richard Bagsby, who's running against him. I think he ran against Genda or Clear last year. He's in Lafayette. And Bagsby is probably going to lose. He's actually on the side of the governor, too. He was on Robin Casey today, and he said, you know what, I think the governor's getting too much heat. I think it's actually on the legislature. You know, that just spells red flag for me. Like, if you're not willing to go out there and say, hey, the governor's not doing enough, he could have easily vetoed this bill. I think that it's not just him, it's also the senators that I'm running against with Alting, who likes to vote with Democrats. But I just don't think. I think he's a fraud. I don't trust Bagsby, to be honest with you. I think he's a fake. I think he's actually establishment. He just wants to be part of the club. Blake Dorio, another establishment guy, likes to vote with Democrats. He's more liberal than what he's letting on. Vanetta Beck. Okay, hold on. Let me make sure. Vanetta Becker, if you remember. Okay, she's. Oh, where's that? Vanetta Becker, if you remember. That's all right. Well, Vanetta Becker, she won out on the last day of session, and she was saying that, hey, you know what? Women are only getting paid 70 cents on the dollar. You know, there's not enough women leadership. And this woman has been in office longer than I have been alive. And I am 41. She's been in office longer than that. She has been in office since 1981, which is crazy. Moving on. Stacey Donato. All right, this is why Donato is down here and why a couple of people are going to be down here. She was part of this driving privilege card. It was Alting, it was Bassler, it was Dorio, which is why he's on the list, and Donato. That's why they're all kind of grouped over here. This would provide a driver's license for illegals. Now, Mark Genda also had one of these bills as well. When he was at this Tea Party meeting a couple of months back, he actually brought it up. And he said, oh, I just wanted to get people's reaction. Like, what do you think people's reaction are going to be? You're going to have an illegal here who doesn't speak the language, can't read the language either. And you're like, hey, you know what? Why don't we have Essay over here? Why don't we go have Holmes over here? Just go $1.50 and kill a bunch of people. That I'm sure nobody will be able to react to that, huh? What did we just see the other day in Terre Haute? All right, Rick Niemeyer. Do I have anything? That's all right. Okay, so same thing with Niemeyer. Standard Establishment. Honestly, if you guys ever watch him in committee, he's kind of a creep. He kind of looks like he's drunk all the time, too. Don't know if he is, but... All right, next one. This will be real quick. There's like half the people in the Senate. There's only 50 senators compared to 100 representatives. So this will go really quick. Andy Zay. I had his up too. Oh, this was the guy who's... we talked about vices last week, and we talked about it on Tuesday as well. This was going to be the study of location of gambling operations. I think he was also in Marion, the cities of Marion, to impose a food. Yeah, he also wanted to raise the food and beverage tax. They actually was imposing one. Yeah. What did I tell you guys? This is why, if you guys are watching this right now, I originally had Joanna King in my in the red zone, and then, but she was also trying to get rid of the hemp thing. This is where you have to be really careful on some of these people. Like, you're okay with this, but you're not okay with that, but they're kind of in the same level of a vice. And taxes too. Intimidation is what I thought. Okay. There are a few things, but it was more or less the way that he was voting to. Oh, the SMRs, that's what it was. He was part of the small modular reactor program on both of them. The calls, I believe this was the 80-20 thing too, where these SMR people, utilities, will be able to recover 80% of their costs without even putting a shovel in the ground. Thank you, taxpayers. And then the 20% can be through a rate case, the IRUC. Right. Next. Oh, Greg Good. This one was really hard. Of where I wanted to put him, if I was going to put him in 4C or 4B. But I think what kept me like towards the end over here, don't worry, there's a couple other people. Price done. And the one that really got me going was this delivery of alcoholic beverages. This is like Uber Eats, but for booze. And I was not about that at all. I thought that was the dumbest thing I had ever seen in my life. Oh, there was. Yeah, the quantum research tax incentives too. I don't think you guys understand of how bad we are going to get totally hosed taxes where they're going to be asking, hey, we don't have enough money. We're going to have to raise taxes. Well, where is all this money going to? Well, you know who we're not getting it from? The billionaires. Even look at this in India or in the Indianapolis with the Signia Hotel, with this old City Hall hotel, with everybody getting all this money or not having to pay money, like the data centers for the 50-year sales tax or the 10-year tax abatement, all of the stuff that we could be getting money from where we don't have to pay for it, but ends up not being the case. Oh, yeah. Liz Brown. Now, originally, we thought Liz Brown was based, and then throughout the year, we ended up finding out she was not based at all, like zero. She had a few good takes, like some of these senators do, but even Jesse Brown has a good take or two. That doesn't mean that they're based or good. So Liz Brown, if you guys weren't paying attention onto Indie Reporter, that Rokita said that she has a family member that is an illegal. And there is no reason for Rokita to say that unless it is true. Now, Liz Brown has now put a disciplinary thing against him, so we'll see where that goes. But she was already going to be in the red tier. It was just going to be if it was going to be for Bravo or for Charlie. Same thing with Greg Walker. He doesn't really do a whole lot. Do I even have a thing on? I do. No, I don't. We just went through his bills real quick. Didn't look that great. Brett Clark. Brett Clark is a freshman senator. This guy is totally establishment. I think Kendall talks crap about him too. But same thing. He just votes with the party on whatever. I thought he had a bunch of bills passed too this year. Let me look him up. I want to make sure that I'm right. Senate, on the Senate, you have like unlimited bills you can put in there. Take a look. See what I'm looking. Yeah, he was part of the Kraft hemp flour thing. Okay, yeah, that was a big no-no in our book. What else? Oh, he was part of the Mark Genda thing. Former sheriff in Hendricks County, too, by the way. Biofuel tax credit. Okay. Requires a sheriff to take a DNA sample of a person taken into custody for a felony. Misdemeanor if a person. I mean, I'm not entirely against it, but it's a felony to be married to two different people. In the end, in case you didn't know that. Hey, everybody, don't get married to two different people in Indiana. You'll get a felony. All right, so let me take this off because what I found out when I was doing this thing last night, it didn't particularly want to work. So pull this one up now, and then we should be fine. All right, next. All right, Cindy Carrasco. This, I'm trying not to get too excited right now. Carrasco is establishment as they come. Same thing with Clark, same thing with Dorio, Andy Zay, all these people. He likes to follow Freeman a lot in the voting stuff, but I will tell you right now, Carrasco is establishment swamp. The Senate, where she is right now, will be used as a stepping stone to trying to get into Congress. And this was also the same woman that endorsed Natalie Goodwin. Spencer Derry. All right. I wasn't sure about this. None of us were sure about this one. This was a little panel that we had with like 4 people of like where should he be? Because obviously we don't have a purple. None of them deserve the purple spot. So we just went through his bills real quick. The marijuana advertising was neato. With the restrictions on using nets to traps for minnows. Didn't even know this was a thing, but a lot of people signed up for it. I don't think we have Scott Baldwin on there. We have Scott Baldwin on there? But the part that we didn't like was the small modular reactor stuff. And it's like basically anybody that's signing up for that is going to be a hard no. Nothing besides that. I don't have Scott Baldwin. If we don't have Scott Baldwin, I'll put him in at the end, but he's going to be at the maybe middle. No, I think I'll put him in. Justin Bush. Why he's here. We would have to go through his campaign reports, but most likely he's getting money from Bose. This is why there's the alcohol and gaming matters, the wine delivery. Because Bose is really big into vices and making sure that everybody's boosted up. The blockchain, as you can see, the alcoholic beverage and tobacco. Well, who else is on there? Kyle Miller. Kyle Miller, Kyle Walker. Russell. There was the quantum research and the blockchain stuff for us that we didn't like at all. Brian Buchanan. No, we don't. Okay, so nothing really on him. He was mediocre. He flip-flops a lot too. He was talking, so we were doing some research into 1427, I think, and we went back and watched the committee meeting and appropriations. And I think it was it was Tyler Johnson. But Buchanan asked him, I think one of that lady from Bartholomew, from Bart County, and it was about local government stuff. We're trying to figure out what we're going to be getting taxed on. We got it pretty well figured out, but we're trying to mostly the most important part was, what is it with the churches? Are they going after them, or are they going after something else? It just happens that the churches are part of it as well, the nonprofits, basically. Turns out, it's not about the churches. Eric Bassler, well-dressed man, good hair. There he is. Is this? Yeah, okay. This one was really interesting. Require a regular session of the General Assembly to adjourn, assigned not later than May 15th or any of the odd-numbered years thereafter. Eliminate the second regular session of the General Assembly. This one didn't make any sense to us because it looked like they were only wanted to be there once. Eliminate the second regular session, like, because if this is a budget year, then next year they wouldn't even show up. I think they do it in Texas right now, which would be crazy to me because these people are getting basically paid like 70 grand for 4 months of work. So what, you just get 35, and then you're standardly getting paid like 30 or $35,000 without doing anything really. That's what your flat salary is. Lobbying. This one was okay, though. Provides that an individual who is a member of the General Assembly may not be registered as a lobbyist during the period that begins on the day of the individual ceases to be a member of the General Assembly and ends 1,095 days after the date and the individual ceases to be a member of the... This was really interesting because it sounds like if you were a legislator and then you're done, you cannot be a lobbyist for 3 years. I thought that was an okay bill. That's why he's kind of in the middle. And the vehicle emissions thing was a big deal. For those who don't know, in Northwest Indiana and Lake and Porter County, you have emissions testing. And now there's going to be a study program to find out what will be the impacts if it stops being done. And I'm okay with that because it'll save us like over $5 million a year. Not that it matters because we're gonna get taxed like a son of a bitch anyway. All right, Gene Lysing, real quick. Not a whole lot going on over here with her either. We sent, except for the small modular reactor. This is why she's in the middle. This is why I keep saying too. This is why there was no purple bar, because there's really nobody good enough to be in the purple. We didn't really see anything that she voted against that was good or bad. Overall, she was pretty much in the middle. Why she's over here. Same thing with Charbonneau. Even though Charbonneau has been in there for a while. I think there wasn't really anything. Yeah. It was pretty vanilla. And we don't think he had anything that. There's, I want to make sure that I'm right on something. Yeah, that's in the uppers. All right, Schmidt really didn't have a lot going either. Pretty vanilla overall. Nothing going on. Campaign finance was pretty good. Except for this 1007. The energy stuff. This was the Ed Soliday bill. Didn't like it, obviously. But then it kind of like marks it off with the Wesco bill. Evens it out, sort of. It's just... This one was by far the hardest one to do. Because they're kind of all crap. And then when we go into the upper tier, it's like, all right, it's a little bit better. It's not that bad. I'm not thinking that you're going to sell me off for a couple of tacos, which is good, obviously. All right, Jeffrey Ratz. This one we were recommended to put in the 4A column, which we're okay with overall. He talks to Liz Brown a lot. It looks like they're flirting. Whenever they're in appropriation, it's kind of the cutest thing because they're about the same height. There's like two cousins flirting with each other. This was what regulation of homeschooling. I'm gonna tell you right now, this is the future. We're calling it right now. Obviously, we are pro school choice. Because at the end of the day, you're going to have the choice of which prison your child is going to. The regulation of homeschooling is where it's coming from because the government wants their fingers into what you're doing with your child on with schooling, because this is why all the Democrats are freaking out about school choice, because it's taking money away from the public schools, which are all crap right now. But this is just them sticking their fingers into the homeschooling thing where they have eyes on it, and we're just going to have to be careful with it. Hey, you know, if the homeschoolers are doing better than the charter or the public schools, what's the big deal? Actually, now that I think about that, hold on real quick. Okay, so it was just him about the homeschool. The instruction of human sexuality. Oh, was this the one where everybody was freaking out? Hold on one second. Yeah, I think it was actually. Yeah, this was the one that took forever, and Greg Walker voted against it. Next. Ehrlich. All right. Where's it at? Where are you at? This was the funniest bill. This is literally the only reason why he's in the spot is because bringing alcohol into a restaurant allows a restaurant to permit a patron to bring in sealed containers of beer or wine for consumption with a meal, regardless of whether the restaurant has alcoholic beverage retailer's permit. This is the funniest thing because it would bring in so many problems. You have a guy that just brings in a whiskey into McDonald's. orders himself a fillet of fish and just starts downing booze right there. Hey, don't you worry, pal. It's not a big deal. It's like, but does that? We didn't even look into this bill. We just thought it was the funniest thing ever. Like, does that? Because it doesn't have to have a permit, a beverage retailer's permit. I want to know the history behind this bill. Because this one would turn into a giant mess. But it would be kind of amusing to watch. Chris Garton. Now, Chris Garton was originally going to be in the upper tier into the 3 section. But then after we saw him, he was also the other people that, senators that were berating that Bartholomew County assessor. I think that's who it was. And didn't want any part of it. And he was also part of the hemp bill that we are very, very against. But he, there's, yeah, the craft hemp bill right there, the business personal property tax. This is where I think that business personal property tax, that's where it came from. Tax rate. But, you know, there were a couple of other bills. This is why he's in the upper red tier, merely because of some of the things that are okay. Fox, this? Don't tell me. Greg Haggard bill. It's so dumb. Those are part of the various immigration matters. This was the J.D. Prescott bill that we wish that would have passed. Apparently, it was killed because of Liz Brown. Because, according to Rikita, anyway, that it got killed from Liz Brown because she has a family member that is an illegal. Allegedly, one of her kids is married to an illegal. Allegedly. Mike Gaskell. I don't think we had anything. Yeah, there was nothing on. It's okay overall. Michael Kreider. What did we have? I think. No, I guess not. Overall, pretty okay. Hot Check, Maxwell. Well, Hot Check was actually an interesting guy because we originally were going to put him in the because we were tracking all of what was going on through the state house, focusing obviously on the House instead of the Senate. But then Bohacek towards the end started getting kind of based on a few things, just watching him in the voting stuff. Because we're comparing people, they're not just what bills that they have, but also what they're voting on, especially as longer as the session goes there. The removal of squatters, I think, was one of them. This was okay too. This was talked about in that hemp bill too. If, hey, we're gonna lower it to 20, we're gonna raise it up to 21 instead of it being 18. There were a few things that I would have been okay with, that all of us would have been okay with, if we had to. Oh, that's what it was. Illegal immigrants adds an aggravating circumstance for offense having the use of motor car that his person was illegally or unlawfully present in U.S. That was pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. He had one for grooming. Is this the one for? Yeah. Maybe that's why we liked it too. It's like, what's the grooming stuff lately? Have anything? Not really, no. Pretty good, right? Holmes, same thing. Pretty chill overall. No, I had Tomes up there because he Some of these senators, yeah, that's what it was. Removal of squatters. The signal jamming thing was kind of weird because it's a federal law already, and they just wanted to make sure it was Indiana law. I think Freeman led the charge on that. And depending, obviously, if you're a libertarian, you're like, I should be able to signal jam whoever I want. And then, especially if SWAT's around me. I think he wanted to get him. Yeah, Mike Young and James Tomes wanted to get rid of the gas tax too. Instead of it ending in 2027, it was going to end this year. So that would have been pretty. You know what? I'm going to save that one. Yeah, I'm going to save it. We're going to post that on Indie Reporter tomorrow. How many other people did? That was it, huh? So Rare was actually wanted to be the one that raised the cigarette tax. That's funny. I think we're there, right? Okay, and Alexander. That's okay. I think Alexander is the last one. Yeah, Alexander is the last one. And the red tier. These are people that are kind of wishy-washy. That's just why they're in that tier. Statute of limitations. I think one of them did pass the e-liquid stuff. Nothing that dramatic. It was about what he voted on. He was kind of wishy-washy on some of the things that he was voting on. Can't really remember. We just remember the looking at him like, why are you voting against that? Or why are you voting with? Now we're finally going to get to the last. Don't worry. There's only like three or four people overall. Tyler Johnson. Tyler Johnson was weird because we weren't sure if he was like big hospital or anything. And now he actually brought that up during one of the committee meetings or during when he was on the floor, and everybody was accusing him of being big pro hospital because like, oh, he's looking out for them. He's bootlicking them. And when we watched him in committee, it was more of, hey, we're trying to figure out a problem where everybody benefits. That's what it was about. I think he's a doctor too, which we totally understand. Where you have to, oh, and he was part of the lobbyist thing too, which was cool. Is he part of that? Oh, I think. Yeah, him and Liz Brown. This is where we thought Liz Brown was based because they are pro-life-ish. They did have this. If you're pro-life, this one will really, I think you'll like this one. Provides that a person who knowingly or intentionally engages in the use of an abortion-inducing drug, including whatever, on a pregnant woman without knowledge or consent of the pregnant woman, commits a level 5 felony. That would be so hard to try and to prove too. Abortion-inducing drugs. So he is more pro-life-ish. But this is the thing when you're a senator, when you're at that level, you're trying to figure out where everybody wins, where you're not going to be getting a bunch of phone calls from the hospitals or people that you represent because you're already a doctor and you're just like trying to be pragmatic, I guess. But for us over here, these CEOs are making $700,000 a year or more, or millions of dollars. Fuck them. Same thing with Linda Rogers. Not a whole lot with her. Set off any red or any alarms either. Right? Okay, yeah. Property tax deferral program, school levy referenda, teacher compensation, conduct of primary elections, state comptroller. I thought it was the Carrasco bit. Yeah. A lot of charter school stuff, charter school requirements, huh? Yeah, why did this not pass? Provided that the access to financial data for local schools requirements apply to charter schools. Eventually, what's going to happen is that charter schools are going to replace public schools, and then charter schools will become the new public school. Like, people just don't understand that right now we're just driving the speed limit into the obvious. You can't stop progress. You're just changing the name of something, but it's doing the same thing. What is it? Like marketing, rebranding. It's rebranding the public schools. That's all. And if you don't believe that, that's fine. But we're realists over here, and we understand how evil works. Property tax rate freeze right here. It wouldn't have happened until next year anyway. And all of you guys, I understand where everybody's coming from, like Kendall and Casey and everybody else about the property tax stuff. I don't know who thought anything was going to change this year. Like, I sure didn't. None of us over here were thinking, oh yeah, our property tax is going to get done immediately. Like, the bills are going out during session. There's no way to do it unless you say, you know what, we're freezing all of it right now. You're just not going to have to pay property taxes this year, but next year you're going to have to. Double. Double. Next. I thought there was one. Yeah, Gary Byrne. Okay. All right. Why is Gary Byrne on there? Hold on. I gotta pull it up. Can't believe I. Hold on. Yoder one. Oh, here it is. Oh no. There was a bill that was being talked about on the floor. Go to oh, here. This is perfect. Right, hold on. Right here. This is perfect.
It's unlawful discrimination to do so. So which is it?
I don't get it. That's what this bill's about. I think you're confused.
Point of order, actually.
All right, so obviously Democrats like to go onto the podium and just screech like bats and owls. And what Byrne was trying to explain to Shelley Yoder over here about the bill, and he goes, "I think you're confused."
You actually.
It's about. I think you're confused.
That's all he says. Like, I think you're confused. And what happens with Yoder?
Point of order.
She's like, excuse me, point of order. He said I'm confused. Oh, I can't believe that. How dare Senator Byrne tell me that I'm confused? I must have a point of order. And this is what happens when you get a bunch of lunatics in office. Is that every little thing, if you tell them that they're confused, they lose their mind. And this is why Gary Byrne is at the 3 spot right now.
And I do understand. I am asking a question about which is it.
That's not what this bill does.
Well, point of order. I would like.
There is no point of order, Senator. He can respond to you.
I really thought about changing the Indie Reporter logo into this grin, the Gary Byrne grin, because they're so perfect.
He's saying you don't understand the legislation. It's his right to be able to say that. Yeah, there's no impugning of your character.
And by the way, this wasn't just Micah saying that. He has 2 helpers on each side of him helping him explain some of this stuff. So this is not just Micah's opinion. This is legal people telling him, no, it's not a point of order.
He just says he doesn't believe you understand
And then she goes, "Oh, what do you mean? I am girl bossing over here right now. How dare you tell me that I do not have a point of order? Listen, Micah, I am dressed up as a banana today. I should be able to split there's no reason for splitting hairs." That joke.
Senator Byrne, would you
So that's why he's at the 3 spot. That's literally the only reason why he's there. It's because he mogged Yoder so good. All right, number 2. There's only one number 2, and that is Aaron Freeman. Mr. Jerry Maguire himself. Mr. Help me help you guy. By far the grumpiest legislator inside the entire IGA. The entire General Assembly. His name is Grumples Freeman. And he is always upset. And he starts with everything of, listen. And if you were to take a shot every time he said, listen, you would be dead before they even get done talking. And I wish I had a way to mark every time he said, listen, this is the Jerry Maguire moment. Help me help you. And literally every single time. Now, he did have a couple of good bills. He is very similar to Mike Young when it comes to some of this stuff. Didn't really care much for the signal jamming thing. I understood it. The extension of life law immunity. More children will be getting boozed up. That's all that means. The procedures for obtaining a warrant, him and Greg Taylor are going at. The swatting one is obviously a big one. Because I'm really glad that they're getting ahead of it right now, because there are some areas of the nation where the swatting is really bad. But overall, let's see. The immigration notice, the 1393, good bill, signed by the governor. The prosecutors one, I wish it went further, but because there was a fiscal on it, they had to take it away. But this is basically the Ryan Mears bill. Good enough for me. That's why he's number 2. Because the only reason why he's not number 1 is because he endorsed Natalie Goodwin. That's really the biggest reason why. And you're probably wondering now, well, crap. Scott Baldwin. I don't know why. I don't know how we missed him, but Scott Baldwin, Scotty B. Missed him. He's just that's where he's boom boom at the bottom. We got a spot ready for you, old Scotty B. All right, so there's one last senator, and this was a toughie, big time toughie, because we weren't sure. If you saw my rant on Tuesday, I said that I can't trust him anymore. But after more long thinking and talking to other people too, we decided there is one person sharing the top tier, number 1. Oh no. What happened? Oh no, it won't let me do it? There's no way. Okay, so there's like a you can go back button. Oh, that's what happened because I put Baldwin in there already. Oh no. Oh no. Hold on 1 second. Now I have to make sure I messed up. That's okay though. I messed. We'll just put him at the top of the team. Boom. It's Mike Young. This was a real tough one because he's kind of the reason why this whole hemp thing is so problematic right now. I'll put is because he was the one that started the THC and the hemp stuff back in 2017 or 2018. He also had a weed bill this year, But we went back and looked. He has been so damn based on everything else, though. I mean, look, Common Mike Young W. Mike Young doesn't take crap from anyone. Mike Young totally right about the SMR stuff. Another based moment from Mike Young. I mean, we're just glazing Mike Young like a son of a bitch. And I think Mike Young was the only Republican trying to fix SB1. Senator Holdman countered every time. If I remember right, he voted against SB1 along with Freeman and a couple other people. Actually, let's just take a gander real quick. Yeah. Mike Young, Andy Zay, believe Freeman voted. Yeah, Freeman's there, Karas was there, Buck, Bohachuk. Surprisingly, a lot of Republicans voted no again on it. I thought it was really interesting. Like, was it because they didn't get the money that they wanted, or what? The same thing. We have to, and the person that was gonna that primaried him last year, 100% establishment. Right now, he's the chair of the Hendricks County Party, and he'll be looking to replace him in another couple of years, or if Mike Young decides to retire, same thing. Like, no matter what, Mike Young will always be the best senator right now in the IGA, no matter with the whole hemp and within the weed stuff. He just, all the counteracts of all the base stuff that he was doing, basically. So there you go. You have your official Indiana Senator Trust Chart of 2025. Comment, like, do whatever you want on it, but that's where I'm standing it right now. Andrew Ireland now has shares a spot with Mike Young, and I'm sure he wouldn't have a problem with that. Overall, I don't know. Overall, this was a tough one because there's fewer senators, but like the most corrupt, if that makes sense too. D2 Indy, what do you think? Do you think this is a good? You think it's okay? I thought maybe you left. I don't. This was a real tough one. Not gonna lie. There's just there's so much corruption in the Senate because they're so powerful, the upper chamber, and there's not a whole lot we can do about it. Like, at least as a state rep, you're having to run for office every 2 years. For a senator, it's every 4 years. And when you're in, you're in. Like, these people have been in office for so long. You know what? All right, I'm just making sure. D2ND says I'm good. So if he says I'm good, we're good. I want to show you something too. Hold on. Travis. Office and dude, look at that. All right, let's look at some of these people real quick. Who they've been in office. Jim Tome. Oh yeah, right here. By the way, this is them as a senator. They could have been a House rep before that. Ehrlich, 22. Lonnie Randolph, 2008. Ed Charbonneau, 07. Ryan Mishler, 2004. Really? Mishler's been in there since 2004? That's crazy. Let's see. Glick, 2010. I think she was a rep before that. Travis Holdman, 08. Ronnie Alting, 1998. He also might have been a House rep. Greg Taylor, 2008. Mike Young, 2000. Mike Young was a House rep before that, though. Greg Walker, 08. Gene Leasing, 2008. Vanetta Becker, 05. Rodney Paul, 2001. Bonnie Randolph is the key right now. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no one's trying to grade this one. That's a good call. I mean, I think Kendall posted, it was like, yeah, they're all the 2000, they're the 2008 Lions, which is, it's really hard because they're just crap. What did Rod Bray do? Was he always a senator? I think it go far. Yeah, it doesn't even go that far. So yeah, that's all I got. Hope you liked it. It's less time than I've spent on the House Rep. The House Rep one really, like how much research I did on that. But hope you like it. All right, I'm out of here. You guys have a good weekend. For those who are watching, no Saturday show. See you on next Tuesday.